I remember the late 90s and early 2000s as a Star Wars fan very well. I spent a lot of my time on message boards like theonering.net and of course theforce.net. I was obviously very interested in the development of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Attack of the Clones. For some reason I was far more into leaks and spoilers than I am now. I wanted to know anything and everything I could find out, and I vividly remember some of the rumors floating around, especially when it came to Jango Fett and Aurra Sing. Pablo Hidalgo recently tweeted a little bit about that time and shed some light on that whole era that made me realize something about the Star Wars universe, and I just wanted to share that today. Aurra Sing first appeared in The Phantom Menace in a very brief shot during the pod race. She was fleshed out a bit in the visual dictionary for the film, and of course, Star Wars fans did what we do and latched onto her. Who was she? Why was she at the pod race? Will we learn more about her? Well, we did. She appeared in 8 stories in those 3 years following the release of Episode 1 and leading up to Episode 2. They were mostly comics, including one all about her, but they established her backstory as a Jedi turned bounty hunter, and fans assumed this was building up to a big role for the character in Attack of the Clones. I recall knowing Jango Fett would be appearing, and it wasn't completely unreasonable to assume there would be more bounty hunters in the mix. But Episode 2 came and went. Aurra Sing was nowhere to be found. I went back and looked through some old discussions about people guessing Zam Wesell took her spot in the story and that she would instead be a big part of Episode 3. Revisiting this time period and reading those posts is wild. The discussions surrounding Star Wars have not changed, just the way those discussions happen. Anyway, Pablo Hidalgo said that Aurra Sing appeared so much in comics and books for those 3 years specifically because she was not going to be in any of the other movies. She was an interesting looking character, people wanted to write about her, and they were allowed to do whatever they wanted because it wouldn't affect anything happening in episodes 2 or 3. She literally was just an extra in The Phantom Menace. And this whole situation immediately made me think of Captain Phasma and my expectations for the character in The Last Jedi. We only had 2 years between those movies, but the character likewise appeared in several books and comics, 2 of which were all about her. From her backstory to what she did immediately after The Force Awakens. In my opinion, all signs were pointing towards a big return for her character in The Last Jedi, and again, I was way off base. Phasma was barely in the film, and she died rather unceremoniously, especially after all we had learned about her in months prior. But one of the reasons why she got so much content in between episodes 7 and 8 are likely for the same reasons Aurra Sing did. The story of The Last Jedi was known, and Phasma would not be around for episode 9. So why not explore her character more? Fleshing out her backstory couldn't possibly affect the timeline moving forward, so we might as well. That was a moment for me that made me realize that the books and comics are largely not indicative of what's to come in the movies. I'm not saying we'll never find foreshadowing in a book for a live-action film or series, but it's been pretty rare. A massive multimedia universe like Star Wars has so many moving pieces. The way these stories are developed, it seems difficult to have that level of connection unless a filmmaker is involved even a little bit with that book, like the way Rian Johnson gave Claudia Gray a couple of notes for Bloodline. I find little peeks into how Star Wars stories are created to be very interesting, and enjoyed a small trip down memory lane with theforce.net. Hopefully you did too. It's so crazy to see that the more things change with Star Wars, the more they stay the same. But if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.